Hello everybody. Today we're going to continue to work with our division and we're going to be looking at some division word problems today. So I'm going to give you two examples and we're going to go through the first one hopefully pretty quickly. Sometimes our division word problems are pretty straightforward, right? You can read it and you're like, all right, great. I'm just going to divide these numbers and be done. Sometimes we have to read, we always have to read very closely, but sometimes we have to almost reread that problem to really make sure we've made sense of it and to break it down to see if there's more than one step required. So we're going to do one of each today. So let's take a look at our first one and find out, is this our more complicated or complex problem, or is this just a straightforward problem? So we've got Dr. Wyatt has 1,868 milliliters of medicine tea. He pours equal amounts of the medicine into 4 containers. How many milliliters of medicine are in each container? So I just want you to think to yourself briefly, is this a straightforward division problem? Is there going to be more than one step involved? Are we going to have to do some division and multiplication? Or are we going to have to add or subtract something along with it? So just take a moment, look at it, and think about what you think. Okay, so if you said this is a straightforward division problem, you're right. We are simply working with 1,868 milliliters of this medicine tea. Maybe he's designing the virus, the vaccine for our virus. And we're going to just divide it into 4 equal containers, right? He's separating it into 4 containers. Nothing else is added. No other numbers are given. So it's a straightforward division. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to use our area model for this. Okay. And I'm just going to go ahead and do this pretty quickly because today's lesson isn't how to do the area model. It's just making sense of the word problem. So I know that 1,000 is equally divisible by 4 because I'm going to use that money. I know that 100 is divisible by 4 and it gets me 25 because of quarters. So 1,000 divided by 4 must be 250 because of those quarters. So I know I've got 1,000. I know 800, which is almost the same amount, is going to be divisible by 4. And that's going to give me 200 because I know 8 divided by 4 is 2. So 800 divided by 4 is 200. And then I've got 68. And I'm not quite sure about 68. So I'm going to make a 40, which I know is divisible by 4. That gives me a 10. And then I've got 28 left. And I do know 28 is divisible by 4. And that gives me 7. Because I know 4 times 6 is 24. So 4 times 7 is 28. So now I've got all those parts. And I can just add those up. And I'm going to have 250 plus 200. That's going to be 450 plus the 10, 467 as my quotient. 467. And I'm going to write out my partial quotients. It's a good habit to get into. Plus 800 divided by 4. Plus 40 divided by 4. My division problems, or my division signs and addition signs tend to get rushed a little bit. And then 28, whoops, divided by 4. So I end up with 250 plus 200 plus 10 plus 7 to give me 467. So that one was a straightforward, just division problem. Let's take a look at this next question. Ellery bought 1,525 beads. She sorted them into 5 bags. If each bag contains the same number of beads, how many beads are in 3 bags? So I want you to think about this word problem and ask yourself, okay, is this a straightforward division problem? I've got 2 numbers. They're asking me to divide it into equal groups. Or is this going to be a little more complex? Am I asked something a little bit different? Am I going to have to add something, subtract something, multiply something? So the first thing I'm going to pay attention to is I know we have a total number of beads. I know she sorts them into 5 bags. But then we have this question about how many beads are in 3 bags. Because I've got 3 sets of numbers here, I'm thinking to myself, I probably have a multi-step problem going on here. So now I want to think to myself, okay, what are these multiple steps going to be? Ellery has 1,525 beads. And I know that she sorts them into 5 bags, and it says if each bag contains the same number of beads. So I know it's got to be a division. right? Because she's sorting them into the 5 bags with the same number. So I know I'm going to have this problem I need to solve. This will tell me what. So I want you to think about what this answer is going to give me. Not what is the answer, but what does it represent in the problem? Okay? And in this case, it's going to tell me how many beads. Remember, the hashtag sign stands for number. My answer, my quotient, is going to tell me the number of beads in one bag. That's what I'm going to be solving for, right? Then it says as a second section here, how many beads are in 3 bags? So once I've solved to find out how many beads are in one bag, what am I going to have to do? Okay, so I'm going to put here, I'm going to use our letters. Do you guys remember how we used our letters to represent something? So I'm going to do 1,525 divided by 5 to find B, the number of beads in one bag. Once I've done that, I'm going to take the number of beads in one bag, and I'm going to have to multiply that by 3 to find out how many beads are in 3 bags. And I'm going to label that T. So that's 3 bags. Okay? So now I've determined what are my 2 separate steps that I need to take, and I'm going to go for it. So I'm going to start with 1,525 divided by 5. And I know this is going to come out with no remainder because I know the rule about dividing by 5 is if my dividend ends in a 0 or a 5, I know it is a multiple of 5 and therefore I can divide it by 5. So I know 1,000 is divisible by 5, again because I know 10 divided by 5. So I know 100 divided by 5, so I know 1,000 divided by 5. I know 500 divided by 5 will work. And I also know I'm not going to even split up 25 separately. I know 25 as a whole is divisible by 5, so I'm going to keep that together. If you need to break it into 20 and 5, that's fine. But as you start to see larger chunks, go ahead and use them when you can. So I know that 1,000 divided by 5 is going to be 200. Whoops, I don't want to write my equal sign there. It's going to be 200 because I know 10 divided by 5 is 2, 100 divided by 5 is 50, so 1,000 divided by 5 is 200. I know 500 divided by 5 is going to be 100. And I know 25 divided by 5 is going to be 5, because I know 5 times 5 is 25. Okay, so now I'm going to add up all of my quotients. 200 plus 100 plus 5 is going to give me 305, right? So now I know the value up here of B. I know B equals 305. Now that I know that there are 305 beads in one bag, remember, make sense of that problem. Know what your number you're solving for represents. These aren't just numbers we're dividing just because. These represent something in a story, and that's what's going to make sense to you in your real life. You're going to be doing this with real life, so you need to know what that represents. So 305 beads in one bag, but we want to know how many in 3 bags. So now I'm going to swap out this B for 305, and I'm going to solve 305 times 3 to find out how many beads Ellery has in 3 of her bags. So now I'm just going to do my partial products. 300 times 3, I know that's 900. I know 5 times 3 is 15. So 900 plus 15 is going to be 915. So I know that Miss Ellery, T equals 915, has 915 beads in 3 of the bags. And I'm also going to look back. I know she bought 1,525 beads, so my answer has to be less. So I'm just going to double check, like, did I come up with something less than the total number of beads that would be reasonable? I did. If I came up with something way more, I would know that I couldn't be right, because if she divided those into 5 bags and we want to know how many are in 3 of the bags, it wouldn't make sense for it to be larger than my dividend. So you are going to go and solve 3 word problems today. You pick which 3, but you need to make sure you write your division problems correctly. You need to make sure if it is a multi-step problem that you write your addition or subtraction or multiplication problem correctly, and make sure you're showing your work with either an area model or partial products and partial quotients. Okay? Good luck, have fun, and let me know if you need it.